Hello and welcome back to another quick patch 6.1 PTR video. So today I'm going to be showing you the new system that they've added with flight points. Essentially you will be able to request to get off the flight point, and what doing that will do will essentially just drop you off at the next point in your flight. So if I was here at the Tranquil Court and I wanted to fly to Ambari Village, but then halfway through decided I actually want to stop at the Path of Light, I could do that, and I'll show you how. So right now we're flying to Ambari Village. However, imagine that I now realize the terrible mistake that I made and I want to get off at the Path of Light. I can just hit request stop, and now the flight point will drop me off over here at the Path of Light. This is very handy because, well, you know, if you made the wrong decision, or perhaps you want to actually get off the flight point and head back to your garrison, you don't want to be sitting there for 6 minutes in a flight point that's not really relevant to you. Basically, it's just a little bit more choice, which I think is always a good thing. Now, of course, it's not really perfect, and the flight system still isn't fantastic, though it is a lot better. What Blizzard have said that they're going to do in this patch is make it so that if you are flying from one point to another, previously it would only use the flight points that you have discovered when it's doing your route, but apparently they said that they want to do it so that it will just use any flight point, whether you've discovered it or not. I've got no idea how that would really tie into the system of you being able to get off mid-flight point, but for an example, you know, it's still not perfect, right? So flying from where I am currently to Talari Station doesn't make a great deal of sense. It's not as the crow flies, and there are faster routes with the flight points that I have available at the minute. So I think that this probably isn't the final version of what we'll get in the beta. Maybe this is just or not the beta, the PTR. Perhaps this is just the first kind of incrementation of this getting off mid-flight thingy, or just the general flight point improvements, and hopefully more come in the next patch. I think it should hopefully go a decent way towards allaying some of the dismays of the people who really do just want regular flying back in. I'm happy that regular flying isn't a thing in Draenor. I think it's very good for the game design and many other things, but I suppose for that video, or for this video, it's kind of besides the point. Anyway, so I'll just do this again one more time, for the sake of showing you what it's like. Pretty nifty feature. Yeah, I guess, you know, we're not always people who make the best decisions all the time, and you might feck up, you know, and it'll be handy. Not really much else to say about that, though there is one thing that I think is worth testing right now in the video. So if I go here, and let's choose a flight point where, yeah, okay, here, to Shattrath City. I want to see if after Anchorite's Sojournum, just after I go past there, will it drop me off at Terracar Refuge? I'm imagining it won't. I'm pretty sure that it's only the next stage in the flight path that you have selected, and not just the clearest flight point node to you. So we'll have to test and see what that's like. Okay, so we are coming up to Anchorite Sojourn, and we'll have to be really quick in the ball here. So nearly past it. I'll just wait till we're actually past the physical flight point itself, and maybe just give it a little bit of leeway in between. Alright, I think that's enough leeway, so if I hit the request stop button, I'm assuming it's not going to take me over here into Terracore Refuge. And yeah, that would be correct. So it's essentially just based off the flight points that you have got set up. That's their current implementation. I suppose, while it could be handier if it just dropped you off at the nearest flight point, that does sort of cause some issues with undiscovered flight points, so perhaps if they could just do it so it would drop you off automatically at the nearest discovered flight point rather than the next one in your route, that would make sense. However, that is easier said than done. Currently, Blizzard seem to hand path all of the flight points, right? So if you look here, every single connection between every node is basically put in by a person. It's not like it's dynamically generated, and there's no like pathfinding algorithm or something that works that stuff out. Perhaps if you know, like there was some sort of algorithm that would could do that and automatically path things, it would make a little bit of sense. Now, actually, one thing that I just noticed here that I didn't realize is I don't have on this character the Iron Siegeworks flight point isn't there. However, I'm currently here at Shattrath City, and if I want to go to Skysea Point, it could either path me all the way over here, which is what it would, you know, currently do in the game, or it just paths me here through the Iron Siegeworks. This actually lets us test if we can get off at the Iron Siegeworks, even though it's not been a discovered flight point, which I think is pretty interesting. So I'm just going to cut ahead to until when I get a little bit closer. Alright then, so we're entering Frostfire Ridge. I'm just going to click request stop now, and we'll see if anything happens. I actually just noticed, normally when I click request stop, the sort of character model and stuff jitters a little bit. It didn't jitter this time, which perhaps suggests that it's not going to drop us off here. Frankly, I don't think it should drop us off at the Iron Siege Works, because obviously it's not a discovered flight point. And it would only make sense, in my opinion, if it drops you off at the discovered flight points, and that does appear to be how it's being done. So essentially, this new flight point system will, in times, as we can see here, path you through a node that you haven't discovered for the sake of getting a more direct route. However, you can only use the request stop feature to get off at the next flight point in your path that you have discovered. So something like the Iron Siege Works back there wouldn't count, because while it is a part of the path, it hasn't been discovered. And yeah, that's really it for this video, I suppose. All the job's done. I think that's a very solid improvement to the you know, the overall flight point system. However, there are definitely a few scenarios where I think they should just work out the pathing a little bit better. Perhaps the way they work it out is based on flight time, so maybe... Well, actually, no. I mean, just looking at what we've got right here, this makes no sense. Surely it should go from Lunarfall to Embari Village to the Path of Light and shouldn't path down to the Twilight Glade. That just doesn't make much sense. So there are some things here that need to be fixed up. It's not perfect, but it's certainly improvement. Anyway, that's it for this early stuff. Of course, it's the PTR. This could be improved. It could be made better. It's hard to know right now. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.